Hello and welcome, my name is Interjection, and this is game number 4 in the KönigErik vs snsjack series. They're playing a best of 5 for PK Clan Tournament number 4, and perhaps you're watching these games in the order which I was uploading them in, and you're wondering where the previous game was. Well, that game number 3, was not actually uploaded to my channel. It was uploaded to the official Age of Empires YouTube channel. So if you would like to continue watching the games in order, then you can click on the first link in the description of this video to go and watch game number 3. But in this game, which is being played on New England, as you can see, we have the Ottoman player in the north of the map. His name is snsjack, playing in the color purple today. A very interesting choice of civilization, and I will talk about that in a moment. But, as we saw, using his explorer to kill both of these treasure guardians around this treasure, 60 food, but not actually collecting it up, using a settler instead to do so, which is perhaps not as cost effective, since settlers can be gathering resources, whereas your explorer cannot be. So if we turn Fog of War off, we see the trading post man about to walk past the trading post, and he's going to grab himself 40 XP. That's why he didn't get that treasure. He rushed here towards the center of the map to get this up sooner rather than later, so that he could get that XP sooner rather than later. Of course, if you leave it too late, you would have to walk for this guy to walk around the entire route again before you got any XP. And the sooner you get that XP, the sooner you will be able to send that first shipment. Now receiving it, and I imagine we'll see 3 settlers any moment now, which of course will help his economy out quite a lot. You only get 40 XP when this passes on this map, and that's because this is a much smaller trading route. If we compare it to the Great Plains, in terms of in terms of XP per second, it is very similar. I do believe Great Plains is slightly more efficient, but very similar here. So there you go. It's quite an interesting placement. Of course, it is close to his town centre, very, very close. The closest one, in fact, meaning you would get there sooner rather than later, but it is quite a hard one to defend, and that's because if any aggression were to happen from the other player, then they would most likely just walk through the map, and of course they'd be able to kill it. But if you built it perhaps over here, of course your explorer starts over here, and you send him this way, and build this over here, then that's much more difficult for your opponent to attack. They have to really go out of their way to attack that one, since they would have to come all the way up here to get it, and then they can attack you from here, where they'd already have to go all the way back. So if you're going to Fast Fortress, that's a nice one to build, since it's a lot more difficult for your opponent to kill. We see snsjack now clicking up, and before we continue any more discussion on him, we ought to introduce the other player, KönigErik. Here he is in the south of the map, playing as the French. Put up an early market here, gonna get that hunting dogs upgrade, and then possibly steel traps in the next stage, gonna help his economy out in the hunting department. Now clicking up, of course, a little bit later than snsjack, and that's because, of course, Ottoman settlers, they do generate, a lot of resources, like any settler would, but they don't cost any food, wood, coin. They do not cost any resources at all. So, Ottoman always able to click up a bit faster than most civilizations. Here we see snsjack now collecting some food and wood, gonna get placer mines at that market, gonna get great coats, but we'll switch over to snsjack. But please note the amount of the map that has been scouted for blue, almost all of it, but not that much for the Ottoman. That's because they only get the one exploring unit. And he built this trading post, which is also another really interesting thing, is that the French player didn't actually go and attack his explorer. A lot of people will just send, their explorer over to this trading post because they know the Ottoman player is likely to build it, and then you can kind of attack it, anally shaft pack him down, and then that's really difficult for Ottoman players. Only get the one unit, though he has found his first hunt, so I guess it wouldn't be that much of a problem, as is typical of this map, where your first hunt usually spawns within line of sight of your town centre. But, it would definitely reduce his treasure collecting capability. And if he even brought them down, definitely going to stunt his exploring. But here we see, it looks like, 400 wood on the floor, which he's only just starting to collect up. During transition, of course, switched his settlers from food to wood, collected 200 wood by the looks of it, and has put up 2 trading posts. A very, very trading post heavy strategy here, and it looks like he's got his trading post builder, his explorer, in position to build the next trading post, going for all 4 trading sites here. This is perhaps not, I'm not going to label this as a non-standard Ottoman strategy, but certainly not what I was expecting to see. Of course, a lot of Ottoman players will build a barracks the moment they hit up with that wood that they age up with. Of course, both players, I believe, going through the quartermaster, KönigErik only just hitting up. Yes, 400 wood on the floor. They both went up with 400 wood, the quartermaster politician. With that wood, the Ottoman player Usually would build a military building, but hasn't done that. Sending 700 wood now, which is his first colonial age shipment. It's just arrived. With that wood, most likely going to put up a barracks now, because can't go without military for too long. But not going to go for an aggressive push here. Looks like he's invested in his economy here. Perhaps going to go for a timed push once, of course, this all comes to fruition. Now sending 700 coin from his home city. I imagine he'll put up an artillery foundry, and then with that coin he can train lots of Abbas guns, which are a very coin-heavy unit, a very powerful unit. And he's also switched all of his trading sites to coin. Just going to have so much coin. Going to have a very, very powerful military. Of course, a lot of Abbas guns, and we'll see what time he chooses to push out. Probably between 7:30 and 8 minutes, perhaps 8 minutes 30. A very nice push indeed. Of course, he'll also be able to send something like 5 Janissaries or 3 Hussars, which he can combine it with to make that push so formidable. But we'll switch over to KönigErik. And Eric here, putting up both a stable and a barracks with that 400 wood, which he has started with. I imagine he's also got the steel traps upgrade from that, of course, market, as I mentioned earlier, so his settlers will be gathering food 30% more efficiently than König. So their economies in terms of resource collection will be quite similar. Has 17 settlers here, which of course collects 25% more efficiently than the Ottoman player settlers. Now sending 4 settlers from his home city, snsjack, only on the 16. So we'll compare their economies in a moment. 600 wood now on the way for the Ottoman player. But here a little bit of conflict. 5 Janissaries, his first 5, very, very late. And here, looks like that Blue should be able to do a lot of damage here. Of course, Blue now going to bring his cavalry in. Of course, he didn't want to at first, since Janissaries have a ×2 multiplier against cavalry. They counter them. But now that the Musketeers are here to back them up, going to use those cavalry to slow down these units here. Of course, once you get a unit into hand combat, it is slowed down. They can't escape as easily. They're going to take a lot of damage from the cavalry. Of course, they do 30 damage straight up. And also, these Musketeers are in the back shooting at them and can catch up. But here's some Abbas guns, and now he's not going to fight that. Not going to fight that. Those things are so strong. They do 40 ranged damage, and it's not even ranged damage, it's siege damage. So if you resist, like a cavalry unit, it resists 20% of ranged damage. Abbas guns, nah, just going to negate that. Nah, bro, you're going to take the full whack, because we do siege damage, not range damage. They have a 1.5 times multiplier versus heavy infantry, such as Musketeers. So they do 60 damage. You only need 3 of them to kill a Musketeer. 2 of them almost. There'll be just a tiny bit of hit points left. But here, you know, now going to go back. We'll switch over to KönigErik. 5 Janissaries now on the way. Looks like the Ottoman player get ready to push out. Has a nice military here. And once the 5 Janissaries arrive, can push out and have a very formidable push. We'll switch over to König, see what he is doing. Of course, sent 700 wood as his first shipment. Since he didn't really have any houses, he spent all of his starting wood on a stable and a barracks. Going to use that wood to build some houses with, and has added in a second barracks. Perhaps he got some of the coin mine upgrades as well, which cost a lot of wood. Could build a trading post with it. Some players might, though can't really do that since the route is already controlled. Now sending 700 coin. But before that, sent 4 settlers and has a very nice economy, and we will compare their economies. I'll bring up my calculator. And here we see 25 multiplied by 1.25, since French settlers are more efficient. 31 settler economy. Compare that to snsjack. 18. He's falling behind, but he does have the trading site. But then again, you have to remember Ottoman settlers train for free, so you're not actually spending any resources, and it's much more difficult to compare economies. But French player definitely going to be collecting a lot more resources than the Ottoman, but that's going to be balanced up by the fact that the Ottoman has trading sites here. The Ottoman bringing down that trading post, so the market rather. Probably going to lose a few houses as well. I would not engage here at this moment in time playing as France. The Ottoman player definitely has a much larger military. I believe here's some 4 cavalry units. Perhaps did some raiding. I wasn't looking. We see 5 Janissaries being placed on the hunt, so I'd imagine so. Doesn't want to lose any more settlers. Doing a good job of course, killing units there. The Janissary's there to kind of protect him. Not so good. Going to lose some units there. Perhaps he's not paying attention. He is, though. He's bringing them back. But losing some cavalry, really not good. And honestly, I would prefer those cavalry to be back at home right now, because this is very difficult for him. He's going to lose a lot of houses here. He can't engage, since the Abbas guns are just going to tear through his Musketeers. He needs more cavalry, and he lost those cavalry. He needs the cavalry back at home to do damage against the Abbas guns. And then, of course, the only way you're going to counter this is to mass everything all at one moment. If we switch over to König, Sorry, yes, to König. We see here, about to get his next shipment. Could send something like 8 crossbowmen if he had the population to do so. And then combine that with his Minutemen, with his musketeers, and the cavalry, which he could perhaps bring back from raiding if he hadn't lost them. And also combine it with some settlers. Of course, settlers, French settlers, have a very nice ranged attack and hit points, especially since they've been upgraded. And if you combine all of that at once and start to attack that which is sieging your town centre, then you can push it off. That is probably his best bet here. Though, he's continuing to raid. Not a bad idea at all. He is maintaining a score lead of 3 points, though that's not significant. 3 points really isn't that much. Floating a lot of resources here. Perhaps he's looking to age up. That's not a bad shout. Of course, in the next stage, you will have access to more powerful units and those military shipments. 2 cannons, a frigate, really not a bad thing. A frigate, certainly if you placed it on here, on this lake, you'd definitely be able to defend quite easily. But putting up 2 sea dragons there, 2, of course, galleys, very similar to the caravel type unit. Still floating a lot of resources. Looks like he's going to be calling his Minutemen now. This is where he's going to have to engage, popping out his, of course, units, his Carreras, and this is where he's going to push it off. But is it going to be enough to do so? Of course, using the cavalry to kill off the Abbas guns. I'd like to see that town centre killing off Abbas guns as well, and using the settlers where in range to bring down the Abbas guns, and the musketeers if in range. Abbas guns have to go down, but Abbas guns have more range than any of these units. So yes, getting them back here, now they're out of range, and then they could do damage at range and not take any fire themselves. But he's not going to be able to push out very far, and the Ottoman player is very, very safe here, since there are 2 galleys. And believe it or not, in Age of Empires 3, galleys, boats actually have one of the highest, one of the best counters to land military, since of course these do a very large amount of attack. It has a ranged attack of 100 damage, and that's bombard damage again, and also has a broadside attack, which shoots many, many shots at once. And also, if he were in any pressure, he could just put the units into the boat, and then of course garrison them there when they cannot be attacked, and then just move the boat out of the way. Here we see 3 hussars arriving, also going to help him push the other player off. I think he did a good job of pushing him off. Not too bad, though. I would have liked to have seen perhaps that a little bit sooner. Those cavalry which were over here and of course got attacked by the Janissaries, if he brought them back and attacked, that would have been nice. Now sending 1 caravel. What the fuck, man? 1 caravel? Honestly, you have a 2 caravel shipment. I do not understand why he hasn't put that in his deck, and this could cost him the game. And what confuses me even more is that he's sending 1 caravel. I guess not the point, but you know, the Ottoman player, of course, built all 4 of these trading sites, and I think the French player, he saw that. You can see that in the top corner here. These 4 blobs mean that he has trading sites. And what could have been a better idea is to perhaps go for a 10 or perhaps 15 musketeer semi-fast fortress. Instead, he actually built a stable and a barracks. But I think a better idea might have been to have just built a barracks. And then, of course, just perhaps train in between 10 to 15 musketeers. Send 700 coin a lot sooner than he did. And go up to the fortress age. And use those musketeers to start attacking these trading sites. Bring them down. And it is upgraded, so you can build them yourself. Of course, the Ottoman player isn't going to let you bring them down. He will try some sort of retaliation. But, you know, you're going to do a little bit of damage early on. And then you can get up to the fortress age, where you still have plenty of shipments coming in, and your economy, if you're doing a semi-FF, of course you would send 4 Carreras, and then you would, you know, have a fairly nice economy, and you could train units like Carrera, you know, cuirassiers from the stables, skirmishers as well. Those definitely going to help you out versus Janissaries, a very effective counter. And also you'd have access to military shipments like 2 cannons, which of course are very good against Atlas guns. You could have sent a frigate as well. Here, that caravel, I didn't even see it go down, but that, not really taking too much damage at all, compared to the fact that that one already has full HP still. Really not much of an issue. Here, continuing to raid, not going to give up just yet, now sending 8 crossbowmen. Of course, with that, where he pushed him off out of his base, I would have quite liked to see the 8 crossbowmen sooner, though you can't always have a shipment ready. But if you can time that push really well, and of course the Ottoman player sieging you out, perhaps killing houses in your town centre, if you can send 8 crossbowmen, pop your Minutemen, and send out your settlers, military units all at one time, that is a very, very nice way to push the Ottoman player on. I think in the situation that he was in, that is obviously what he did do, and if he'd been able to send 8 crossbowmen, it would have been a very effective way to push the Ottoman player off. But as I said, I do think a semi-fast fortress might have been quite effective. Right now, though, that 8 crossbowmen shipment arriving, and it looks like one final last stand for the KönigErik. Of course, all using all of his military units, the shipment, and his settlers to fight this off. But before you leave, yes, it is the end of the game. And I think, of course, not really enough military units here. And once these units are down, Ottoman is just going to focus down the settlers, and that is going to be the end of it. But really, what could König do? But before you go, as I say, I'm going to talk about the Ottoman player's build order. Very interesting stuff. Of course, Ottoman usually and quite often very, very aggressive, since they age up so quickly and they can be so powerful. And you're not going to be yourself aggressive against Ottoman. You're just not going to expect them to go boom sometimes. I mean, obviously they can take the ocean and they can have a very nice boom from that. But here going for that trading post boom. And yes, some early aggression from the French player might have been quite effective this time around. But since Ottoman themselves are so aggressive, you're just not going to do it. You're going to play it safe, of course, with that kind of fairly standard build. Going up with a market, both stable and a barracks. Whilst in the back, snsjack just booms. And then comes in with a very nice timed push. 700 coin for mass janissaries, sorry, Abbas guns. 700 wood, 600 wood for houses and such. And then sent these military shipments. 5 janissaries, 3 hussars. Just going to push out with it. And I believe now sending light artillery hit points, or would do next. Or perhaps it has already arrived, making those Abbas guns even stronger than they already are. But thank you very much for watching. That concludes this series. snsjack making it through to the next round with a 3-1 win. Of course, König actually won the first game in the series, so I was expecting more. But here just getting, not so good. König, a very good player, very strong with the French, but here it looks like snsjack, he has met his maker. I will be casting the H2O versus Awata games next. I've already made the first one, so join me in game number 2. I will see you next time.